Good morning. Today we are moving on with our hunter safety lesson. We are on chapter 5. So if you click on chapter 5 here, you'll be able to see everything, all of the instructions, the instructions are under instructions, but all of the chapters. So the review for 1 through 4 is there, and we're talking about primitive hunting and techniques. So the first thing that we go over is muzzle loader. You need to know your muzzle loader.
Excuse me, teachers, for this interruption.
Sorry, there was an announcement. Okay, so know your muzzle loader. Parts of a muzzle loading flintlock rifle. So the important parts of the muzzle loader you need to know is the patch box, which is here, the frizzen, and the cock and nipple right here. So you can see this is parts of the percussion lock, which helps us get the gun ready to fire. Okay, so black powder is the only type of powder that should be used in muzzle loaders. That's important to know. That I think I have that underlined. Yep, right there. If you want to know more about muzzle loaders, you can read that, of course, the basic cleaning, loading a muzzle loader, and then let's go over muzzle loader safety real quick. So some important things to know is you need to load a muzzle loader directly from a calibrated powder measure. Do not load from a horn, flask, or other container. You need to make sure that it's measured, because if you put too much or not enough in there, complications can happen with combustion. So a loose spark or glowing ember in the barrel can cause the powder to explode, not explore. And make sure you only load one charge at a time. Don't try to put two measurements of black powder in there, because it will explode. Then there are the steps to loading a muzzle loader. Right there. Okay, so moving right along, then you can see unloading a muzzle loader, firing a muzzle loader, and all a muzzle loader is, I'll upload a video for this. Actually, let me make a note for myself. I'll put a video for loading a muzzle loader. It's different because, okay, so I'm going to upload a video on how to load a muzzle loader. Basically, you are taking the barrel end of a gun, pushing powder down inside of it instead of putting it in the form of like a bullet or a shot. But I'll upload a video showing you how to load a muzzle loader. Okay, so then we're going to talk about bows and arrows. There are three different types of bows. The long bow or the stick bow, the recurve bow, or the compound bow. You're probably most familiar with the compound bow, if I had to guess. Then there's information on stringing a bow and parts of an arrow. Moving along into the common types of arrowheads. If it'll load. There's stringing a bow. Okay, parts of an arrow is right there. And I expect you to read all of this. I have a class in here right now, which is why I'm kind of just going over the important parts. Okay, so there's bullet point, which is still points used for target shooting and small game hunting. Small game being the smaller animals like rabbits, squirrels, stuff like that. Blunt point, which is used for small game hunting and some types of target shooting. It's made of steel, hard rubber, or plastic. Field point, target shooting, small game hunting. Judo point, designed with spring arms attached to catching grass and leaves, preventing arrow loss. Used for stump shooting and small game hunting. Fish point is long, barbed, or spring-loaded arrowhead that spears fish and secures them until landed with an attach line. And then broadhead, which is used primarily for big game hunting, which is what I'm going to assume you use bows and arrows for. So I'm assuming you are the most familiar with broadhead, which is the one that's important to know for today. It's the one used for big game hunting. I'm going to pause this till they go so it's not so loud. Okay, so then mechanical expandable blade broadhead. Crossbows You can read about those. That's like the kind of weapon that if you watch Walking Dead that Daryl carried around. Bow shooting safety. Okay, so bow shooting safety, an arrow is as deadly as a bullet, so the basic safety rules that govern firearm shooting also apply to archery. So although shooting accidents are rare among bow hunters, they do happen, so you need to obey a few common safety rules, whether you're on the range or in the field. Okay, so release an arrow only when the path to the target and beyond the target is clear. Make sure there's something to stop the arrow if you miss. Never shoot over the horizon. Avoid shooting an arrow in the general direction of another person. Arrows are easily deflected. A small twig unseen by you can cause an arrow to veer dangerously off course. Don't shoot straight up in the air and see where the arrow lands. A falling arrow carries enough force to penetrate the human skull, so it's still just as dangerous. Carry arrows in the nocked position only when slowly approaching game. Never nock an arrow or draw a bow if someone is in front of you. And use a haul line to raise a bow and quiver into a tree stand to avoid serious injury. So all the same rules that apply to guns apply to bows and arrows, okay? And crossbows. I'm recording a video for my online kids. Okay. Yes. Okay, so bow shooting position. There's a picture of how you're supposed to stand when shooting a bow. So stand at a right angle to the target with your feet approximately shoulder width apart. The stance should feel comfortable and balanced. If you prefer, you may slide your front foot back a little, creating a slightly open stance. Okay, nocking an arrow. A nocked arrow should be positioned about a 1/4 inch above the arrow rest on the bow handle. On most bows, a small brass band called a nocking point is crimped into the bowstring to mark the correct position. So to nock an arrow, you grasp the arrow between the thumb and index finger of your right hand, if you're right-handed. If you're shooting left-handed, of course, this swaps to your left side. With your left hand, hold the bow parallel to the ground about waist high and string toward the body. Lay the arrow shaft on the bow's arrow rest. Align the slot in the nock with the string and make sure that the cock feather points up while the bow is parallel to the ground, and then pull the arrow back until the string snaps into the slot. Moving on, if you want to read about drawing and anchoring the bow, aiming the bow, holding and releasing the bow, feel free to do so. And then you just have your questions for Chapter 5. That's all we're doing today. There's only 6 questions. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You got this. If you have any questions, please let me know. Shoot me an email. We're going to do chapter 6 and 7 next week. And then the week after that, we'll finish up. And we're not going to be able to take our test until you're here in person with me. So make sure that you're actually learning this information and not just memorizing it for a short period of time, because you have to take this test in person in order to get your safety license. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. The questions are easy. Some of them are labeling. The pictures are in the Google Doc for the labeling. Just let me know if you have any questions. I hope you're happy and healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.